small baby.
And she did not want to
And Mother was considerate enough not to put.
And that was considerate.
Not to put, which was great.
I thought so too.
But knowing how proper Mother was.
I know it, and Robert Mebane said, I know that can't be true.
Robert Mebane
was in print, though.
He didn't believe it, even though it was in the paper.
It was in print.
Yeah. Because I thought that was real interesting. When she died, you remember Dr. Devant?
Oh boy, of course I
told
did.
him, well, I had trouble with him.
Honey, I blessed him out. He left our office room. I had a
Yeah.
lot of trouble with him.
Well, everybody did. I mainly write him a blistering letter because of the money part, you know what I mean? And he returned money.
I really did.
He returned
because
money.
of the care. I just was
And the care,
informed, agreed.
But he did say this. He said, your mother was a true lady. And said, I could not ask you things, you know what I mean? He took responsibility, which, Marion, we should be thankful for.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he took a lot.
And he
Yeah.
was aware enough that, yeah. And I went to Dr. George because I said, I'll just stay here until,
And
I says,
sat
my
at the door.
mother is just not talking. And I says, we're moving her in the morning. She's going down to the nursing home. And but he was, and I have no grudge against him whatsoever, not the least.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so heart-rending.
Yeah.
Bed sores.
Yeah,
which
but
was
they
not
did
necessary. And the little hospital couldn't have been better. They were just great.
The hospital was great. It was the extended care.
And it was, who knew?
And we
But that's
decided
all right.
she wasn't getting it, so we hired a babysitter. And then nobody did it. The people didn't want to do it. They said, let the babysitter do it. Well, the sitter.
Mm-hmm.
and then the sitter says, well, let them do it. And of course, Forney was up there all the time, so we knew she was on call. And they'd call her,
That's
which
right.
was terrible.
And she would bring Mother over as long as she would, you know, as long as she would go over to the house. And
Because you see, it was very hard because, what was it, the last couple of weeks she closed her eyes and wouldn't talk to us.
Absolutely, she had given up. And
Mhm.
she really was wanting to
It was
die.
just time.
Well, and that was the way it should be.
It is.
I don't feel bad about that.
I don't either, and not a bit. Not
She was
one
a
bit.
Very
Very
always a
strong-willed.
strong-willed person. That's where we get it, all of us.
Yes, and we do get it honestly.
What about Forney?
I know it.
No doubt.
And you are strong-willed, and I'm strong-willed. And I try to be strong-willed on the right things.
Well, I do too, but
You
I don't
do
know that we
too.
make
All right.
Oh, there's some more rolls. I'm just gonna let this thing go. Let's, what we'll do is we'll just take pictures of everything, and then we'll go back and cut them out if we need to.
Sure. You can
Like
cut
that.
all mine out.
This, I was saying last night,
Mother had that thing.
videotape is the only place where you can erase the past.
All right.
Because, Marion, I didn't tell you, but the book club had the head of the library to give the program month
Isn't
before
there a
last.
new one?
Yeah, and she's real attractive.
Oh, good.
But she came in and she said, I have to apologize. My program is in outer space.
Woo.
She said that it all disappeared. I don't know who did what, but she had put all that work into it. And she had the screen ready to go and everything. And she said, it's not here. That's
Now,
one disadvantage.
That's the end of that.
That's right.
And we may go anywhere into the den or anywhere. We'll take our
Because I don't know
coffee.
what your memories are, Mother, because
I just barely remember. I
not
was about
much.
Well,
not
you were
four
very young.
or something
Yes.
when she died.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
you
so
were
she
here,
was-
I guess.
Yes.
Quiet for a year before that around me.
Well, she was
Yeah.
sick. Yeah, we had her in Charlotte,
Made a big difference.
so
Mhm.
you wouldn't have known her.
When she was really in her robust best.
People loved her.
Yes, indeed.
She
Most certainly did.
she put herself out.
Mhm.
She loved
Mm.
parties. She
Mhm.
loved Easter. She loved Christmas.
And she was talented because she did write good poetry. I also gave your mother, and everybody has that.
I got a copy of that too.
Of the poem, and she loved doing it.
She was a Southern lady.
That rhododendron poem.
That's
right?
it. That's right.
Mount Laurel. Maybe?
That's
I can't
right.
remember.
But she was really talented in many areas and loved to read. She was talented.
Yeah. You had two very different grandmothers, great grandmothers. Bob's mother,
that's true. That's
mother
really
and
true.
mother.
Right.
They weren't ordinary times.
No, they were. No, they were both of them. And what I know of Miss Wanzer, exactly right.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
They were very different, but.
Now you were saying with Mama, she didn't like having kids around that much.
No.
And I didn't have her sit, and I don't think you did either.
She kept.
I had her one time.
She kept your mother when I went into labor at home with Chuck. Water broke. I got out of bed and the water broke, and so we thought that she was coming right then. Of course, they didn't, but it was quite some time, and we dropped Ruth at Mother's. We didn't ask her. No, she didn't ever keep the children.
Ruth either.
And you know what is so sad? Ruth would say, "I spent the night over at Mama's," and she never did.
Yeah. That goes back.
It was a shame.
We would go up to visit.
It was a shame
she
missed this. But I guess Mother thought that she raised hers, but she never.
I
had help, and you had help, so
yeah,
we were okay.
That's right. This was not. This isn't pretty to say. That the reason I had her come down for a couple of hours, but after Hardin, I was so constipated. I was sick. I was sick, and I couldn't look after the little baby. Yeah. So I only had her to come down for a couple hours. Now, she would come, but I was always here, and I took care. But that's my only memory of just being desperate, that I needed help.
She must not have been comfortable about little
I don't
children.
think so. I know she wasn't comfortable with the boys, because she would say the dear Lord knew what he was doing. When he gave her girls, and she looked at my boys, and how.
But she wasn't comfortable with Ruth either.
Okay, so there you are.
There you are.
But I knew she was with the boys.
Because later Ruth did, when she was older, go over and play canasta with her in the afternoon a little bit.
Right.
But I never left her. Which is okay.
Yeah, right. Because she had a lot of generous qualities, and just.
You had Catherine, and I had.
That's exactly right.
That we could call on.
That's exactly right, and those were the ones that. So I didn't have a board there.
People are interested. Either. It's a shame you didn't know Daddy.
Oh yeah.
He loved for you to come.
Oh, adored people.
He loved people.
Loved people.
And Forney took a trip up north. Now this was way back. We're talking about money wasn't floating.
No way.
And Daddy was not extravagant at all. Very conservative. And she got to Winston-Salem and hired a taxi to bring her to Conover.
I remember this one.
I remember this one too. Right.
Mother went through the roof. Mother went through the roof. And Daddy said, but what did he call her?
Pink. Oh, my mother?
Yeah.
You're my mother,
yeah.
Pink.
Yeah. Well,
and Bunch.
Bunch
was another nickname.
That's cute.
He said,
it is cute.
But she wanted to come home.
And that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Can you imagine? She ran our taxi, even now.
Claude will tell this story too, and he happened to be there. They were visiting when she drove up.
Really?
And he was so impressed. Because it would not have been, but...
It wasn't like Daddy.
And that's like Forney, that this was, she wanted to go home, and it'd be like Dad. She wanted to come home. So that wasn't...
And he always...
That's all there is to it.
He never...
Always.
He was warm.
Always.
I couldn't have taught school for less than $100. I taught 3 years and never did get $100.
He was just
It was
wonderful.
a little less than 90.
Mhm.
And, so I came home every summer. He welcomed me.
Mhm.
He was that way.
I had to have a place to stay and a place to eat.
But he was just
Yeah.
wonderful.
He
That
was.
is the
He was
truth.
very
And he was good to all three of us.
He treated us all.
He did.
And
And
he
he would
said,
keep telling Pink.
I'd say, well, Daddy,
You got to
don't
do
you
that.
wish you'd had a boy? Nope.
Mhm.
He said, boys leave you, girls don't.
And that's the truth. That is the truth.
He never did. Yep. Life's interesting. You wondered how the two of them ever got together.
You know, and I never did hear how.
I don't know how they met.
Because I know Mother, she went with a professor down at, she loved to go to Aunt Mimi's. You know, she went different
Aunt Mimi,
places in the summer.
Longdale.
In Longdale, and Mother never really, well, she wouldn't have said much about Mrs. Mebane, except she did as a side once. Now, I just don't believe her age. But see, Mrs. Mebane was teaching down there when, in Longdale, when Mother was down visiting, and well, she was right about that. You know, there are a lot of women that don't want to give their age, and but she went with a professor.
Mae
Mother did.
Morrison Abernathy. Teen told me just recently. There was no age on her driver's license. How she did that, I don't know. And so when Teen went to put up the tombstone, she couldn't find it anywhere. She went to the driver's license, she went to everything, so that there is no age on her tombstone.
This is what Claude was telling. This is one of the stories.
Mhm.
Isn't that something?
It really is, and that's
Oh, see, I was
interesting.
That's Juice's second wife.
Right, and Miss
We're on the
Evans,
Morrison
it's,
property.
I think, Shorty maybe asked Sylvia, but I know Miss Mebane had said to Sylvia, it's not even right on Mrs. Meban's tombstone. It's 2 years.
But at least there's something on there.
There
There's
is something, but
nothing
it's
on
wrong.
these.
Because, and it doesn't matter, she was 4 years older than Mr. Mebane, but she just didn't want that
At
done.
that time,
Oh, yes.
there was a
It's what
stigma.
Randy
There was a
explained to me.
stigma.
Mhm.
Oh, man, there was stigma.
There
And,
was stigma.
And so she, it was just like the cute story. Mother was outspoken, but she was kind. All the brothers had gotten married. Most of her brothers had gotten married. Well, they in the end, they were brothers, you know. Nevertheless, had gotten married older women, and she would say, "That's terrible," and it was starts with an L. She says, do not put my birth and dates on the tombstone because I don't want Pink to know. She was also older that had married one of them.
Isn't that something?
And
That was just the times.
it was the times.
Our grandmother Abernathy, I wish you had known.
Mhm.
Because what woman, I still think she was a saint.
I think
She
was
married
so
a foreigner.
kind.
Her husband died 2 months before her child was born. That was our mother. So she had no way, she had no money, no way to support herself or her baby.
Mhm.
And then her sister had married J.F. Abernathy and had 6 children. Well, Mary and Martha had been separated as children.
Which
So-
was not abnormal.
No, it
During
wasn't.
those times.
No, because
Mhm.
there were quite a few children over here, and she visited an aunt and uncle who had no children. And they begged that family, said, you've got all these children, please leave Mary with us and let us raise her, which
Mhm.
they did. She, on her deathbed, she looked at her husband and made him promise. She had 6 children, and he would not separate them. So
It's
evidently,
a big job.
okay, so evidently she came to help him. And then they married and had 7,
Can you reach it?
yeah, 7 more. Had 7 more. Do you know that she was the one, Ice Margaret? The only distinction she made is that I called her second husband, Uncle Jewel, which is
Mhm.
what he was by blood.
Mm-hmm.
And that set of Mary's children called him her Aunt Mattie. But we were raised as aunt, uncle, first cousins. Nothing was ever said about stepbrother or
No,
first
it
cousin
was
once
not.
removed or any of that.
Nothing.
She
Mhm.
raised them all,
Mhm.
and we were all raised as aunts and uncles and everything. It was a wonderful time.
It
James,
was a wonderful family, really.
We
And
had
everything
so-
that you could happen would have
we had
happened to
so
them.
many relatives. It was just.
And it was. It
You
was
should
such,
see. I don't have that picture. Do you? When we're all on the steps.
yes, I do.
Oh, that is it. I've never seen as many relatives.
We saw that last night.
Did you see
Good.
it?
A
And
copy
you
of
know,
it, I guess.
Well, maybe we have it.
I got a good picture of grandmother.
Mhm.
You know what she looked like, Grandmother Abernathy. I happened to draw such
Yeah,
a good
you did
one.
draw her picture.
Mm-hmm.
May I go get
Sure,
it?
let's go. You want to
But,
walk
yeah.
back there? Or?
Yeah, we can go. I'll go to the living room. Then we meet. Y'all want to go sit
But
at the dinner?
James, I'm not talking about meek and mild children, or even children
I
that
can't
were
imagine.
that kept their mouth shut. Is a good way to express it. And Aunt Mattie was so opinionated,
Yes.
so
and
hard
she
to
would
get
have been
along with.
so hard to have.
Raised.
It would have taken so much patience.
Mhm.
To
And it
raise
was
her.
one of them.
Now
I
she
think
was
that
she was Mary's daughter.
right.
She was the only daughter of the rest of the boys.
I guess it was Elizabeth. No, not either Elizabeth or Margaret. That grandmother tried so hard with.
Elizabeth was a difficult one. She
With
married into
Maggie.
an urban family and thought that she was
Right.
better than anybody else because they had family behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awfully hard.
and that did not work out.
And the marriage didn't work out.
No.
But
But she
that's what
worked
I'm
hard
saying.
after that, it may be, but she just put
And she had
herself
some
to.
in there that drank too much, but there again, she
Yeah.
got along. She
Yes.
never spoke against them.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that could.
His husband, Rob, was
do.
the cutest one, wasn't
Oh,
he? He said, you know,
he adored grandmother.
when she died, it was between Ruth and Chuck, those 3 years. She had the baby booties ready in the whole closet. Because I know it just broke me up. Joy and I were the next one to expect. Roxanne, she's going to populate the whole county. She greeted each baby as if it was the first grandchild.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
just love. I'm sorry now, see, mine did not, I mean, I wasn't married. I was still in college when she died.
Mhm.
That I didn't have that experience, but I would go.
We had another grandmother that lived
Oh, yes.
from here
I
to
told
there.
James. Yeah.
I
Really?
did never remember having
Grandmother Bolick was
Right.
very stiff, very
Mhm.
cold, and
tiny,
yes.
never weighed over 90 pounds, had
No,
12,
but I meant, just not that loving
had
Mhm.
12
that
children.
I know of, because it didn't show.
She
that I
fed
know
Uncle
of.
Lloyd at lunch,
That was
but
what
I never
heard.
ate a meal down there.
I didn't either.
I never went down to spend the afternoon. I did see her.
I did
but,
too,
uh,
because Mother saw that we did,
Mhm.
and but not to visit and I remember what.
But we
a
had
little
one
bit about
grandmother.
Oh, we just made up for everything.
And when you went to see her, you found out all about your cousins. Because the only thing was, she'd ask. And if you didn't know, she'd look at you. She didn't say anything. You mean you don't
She
know?
was
So we always found
and
out.
she kept up with every single one.
Every single one.
Good.
And
And a good mind too.
Had the gift of making you feel you're special.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. To each and every one.
That's a talent.
And brought out, it is a talent, and brought out your good points and not necessarily, it didn't criticize any bad points, and we all have bad points.
Mm-hmm.
But she was not doing that, or at least not to me, and I know she didn't to you,
But
and I know she didn't to Barney, and
That was a real
anybody
gift.
else I was around, no sir.
The boys went through her husband's money. He had money at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Sure did.
But she would let me come up there for Bible school.
Me too. I stayed in the front room,
Mm-hmm.
and
And you know that wasn't easy.
No, 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 no. I
You go and
remember
stay
that
for 2
room.
weeks while,
Just-
because we belonged to that church.
That's right, and I did the same thing. And we were up there so much. Every
Daddy adored
Saturday,
his-
he
He
did.
adored his in-laws.
He did. And
He had-
Saturday, we were up there. We were up there for church on Sunday. And
Then we ate Sunday meal.
well, I knew that, but see, I don't have that memory. I have the memory of being there. And all the holidays.
Every Saturday we went up there. Daddy,
Always, always.
Daddy kept hunting dogs with Uncle Jim,
Always,
with
always.
his father-in-law.
Of where?
In Hickory.
Out in the country.
Oh, yeah, I was in the country, but we went to Hickory.
Somebody, something Ryan.
Oh,
Henry Ryan.
Henry Ryan.
Henry Ryan.
All right.
It
But
must
they
have
did
been
their-
Is that
related
like
somewhere. but
Lenore Ryan?
They kept,
I don't know.
have no idea.
I don't either.
They kept hunting dogs out there. That was the one thing that grandmother didn't like. The only thing I ever heard, she said, the help had to bake cornbread for those dogs.
And it sounded good. It sounded like something you could eat, but there again, there wouldn't have been the...
Hunting dogs.
Yes, there would not have been as much dog food, or you made your
No,
own.
you couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't.
You didn't buy it, so that sounded good and homemade for the dogs.
You knew
I
that.
remember walking by, there were some dogs, but that maybe weren't the ones, and I'm sure they kept them out in the country.
They kept them out because they could
But
have
going
had some
up
there.
to see, where when Darcy and Nancy were, when I was visiting, through the garden was here, and then they had a lot with dogs here. Now this may have been later.
That's true.
And then that path was up to the apartment house.
Yeah, where Aunt Mary was.
Right, and I was up there, I was welcomed up there. But that was my path,
We
to
took
go up
grandmother,
there.
Barney, Marion, and I took grandmother up to Bourne Rock for 2 weeks.
Yes, wonderful.
And we'd go
yes.
in, and her husband, Uncle Jule, if she told him she was going, he got deathly ill. So she didn't tell him. And she would pack her suitcase and hide it in the hall, in that big closet where the booties were. And we would go in. We'd drive her up. We'd go in and say, Grandmother, you ready? Yeah. And she'd turn around and say, Jule, I'm going to Bourne Rock for 2
This is how she do it every
And
time.
he didn't have time to get deathly ill.
And Claude was telling the same story when his dad would take, he liked to take her on a trip.
Yeah.
And because he loved a trip, that's where Claude gets it. And she would do the same thing, that
Yeah.
she would tell him as she went out the door, where she was
Yeah.
going to the, I've forgotten what state, but she was going with Claude. But
man.
she couldn't go. In the mountains, and I know there are so many things that we could say about, but Jay, she was so sweet with her great-grandchildren, and Jay would come, and he had his times of crying, just like all little ones, and she'd hold out
She's
her...
talking about James Edgar.
James Edgar.
First.
Yes, James, that we know. She'd hold out her, she always had a neck with tears right in here in the pocket. And, and that was hard to do. And he would say, and she would also go and get my saddle shoes, because it was the fashion to have dirty saddle
She
shoes.
said, can't you polish them?
Oh, and
She
she
kept
got them
herself.
one time, and I didn't say a word, but she couldn't stand it.
She
couldn't
left
stand
mine
it.
alone, but
She did do mine, and
She
so,
was,
but anyway. But we have just the nicest
but
memories
very
of
few
her.
people can remember their grandmother. We did spend
Oh,
weeks
you're right. You're
with her,
right.
and
Just a privilege.
I realized how hard it must have been.
Certainly,
Oh,
certainly.
second husband, 7
Right.
children, and she had one child after her first grandchild, which was Barney.
Mm-hmm.
She had one little boy after that. And then she put, the house was great big and had a big living room downstairs and a big bedroom, and there was a sleeping porch. She put him out. Not soon enough, I don't believe. But that was her last. But it
Precious.
embarrassed her
Precious
that she
stories.
had a child, after
Mm-hmm.
her daughter. But yeah, but she had 7. That was enough.
That was.
That was enough.
That was. And I think, I know this story would be true. I don't know the mother told
Wait a
me.
minute, one died.
See,
one died.
there were some that died that...
There, Margaret said that there was just one, a little girl. And I forgot.
And that they never got over it. They always mentioned it.
I talked
that
to her
was coming
before.
from Margaret. That they never, ever truly, that was the child.
She was always mentioned. Yeah. There was a little girl that died.
Yeah. All right, but there's some lovely stories.
Anyway, not many have a grandmother like that. And Grandmother Bullock would never mention because she didn't pay attention to us.
No.
I mean, nothing against her.
No.
She had 12 children.
I have no stories to tell about.
She had how many?
Had 12. 7. She had 7. She had 7 boys and 5 girls. And she did come over one time to my house, only once. And she did say, I only had one child, that was Ruth. And she did tell me, she said, women were made to have children. You should have more.
Oh, no.
And she weighed less than 100 pounds. She's a tiny woman.
Well, she had lived up to that, so
Yeah.
you couldn't argue with her.
And all the boys were big.
And
Her husband was big,
Mm-hmm.
blustery. Not a very pleasant man.
I looked, and I remember saying to Renelle, and if I had been near you, I would have said to you, I went by to see when he died. I think I was of an age I should have remembered him. I think I was 6 or 7 years old,
Yeah.
and I should have some memory of him from a picture. And that's one I think I put in, I don't know whether he was in it or not, in the Bible. He would sit there on, I think it's that stone thing that got up to the house, near the shop. But I should have had, and Renelle said she didn't have a memory of him. I'm pretty sure I at least asked her. I happened to be with her after I had been to the grave.
See, there's 8 years difference between us.
Right.
I remember
You
him sitting on the porch and spitting in her flowers.
All right.
But boy, she ruled the roost. She ruled the roost. He was
It
large
makes
and
what a
blustery.
difference what you would
But the
remember
boys
because of
couldn't get
age.
along with him. And they, and that's why they built that building, to put him up there. It was real interesting. Man, I went through, the books were still there when we closed the shop. I went through his book to see if he ever earned any money. That was ugly, I know, but I did it. And there were always transactions he took from the shop up there, but never any transaction that he sold anything. He invented a wheel, but he was not practical.
Evidently not.
And the boys, I guess that's the reason the boys worked so hard.
Oh, yeah, and they did well, don't you
They
think?
did well.
And I also like the fact, Eddie, and I think, is this true? I never heard Dad talk against his brothers.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
And the sisters that were away, they would stay either with, us, or they would stay.
Mostly
Renelle
us.
says Aunt Bertha stayed with them, and we got Aunt Mary.
Aunt Mary was a pig.
I know it. But anyway, I never ever heard him say one word against his brothers.
They also helped. They helped PJ.
They certainly did. They worked together as a unit.
There were only 2 of them that didn't really, the rest of them really made good. I mean, they made money.
Yes.
But PJ could never seem to help.
Right.
Uncle
Right.
Oscar helped him.
Right.
And then the last child, she never let go to school. So, but that was grandmother.
That sure was.
That was grandmother.
It certainly was.
And now, a lot of people thought she was backward, but really it was the fact that she was uneducated and that grandmother kept that last child there. And the boys built a house for them. And
you?
Aunt Mabel didn't marry too well.
No,
She
not at all.
And so they brought her back.
Not at all.
And he was mean.
That's what I
At the
heard.
last.
She
And
didn't
and I
marry
talked
too
about
well?
that.
That's what you mean?
Yeah, well, he didn't make money or was not very pleasant, so
Right.
he didn't
And I'm
leave
not
much.
sure he was a real good person.
No, he treated Stella so bad that he was not, I mean, he didn't have much going for him, but that was neither here.
Right.
But at least, as I was saying, what Marion was trying to say, the boys took care of their own.
They did.
And they did an excellent job.
They did. And
Didn't say anything about it. Nobody would have known.
no, and I would try to go see Aunt Cora when I could, and she was saying that Jerome, she says, you know, that surprised me, but he meant it. That if she needed any help with Stella, you know, she brought him in, all she had to do was to let him know. And she says, you know, that just thrilled her. I doubt if she ever called on him, but
She took care of Stella.
oh yeah.
I mean, she was
And
the
she
person.
had her in a lovely little room. It was so sunny and pretty, and she did. She took care of her.
And that family, that was great the way they took care of their own.
Sure. And not everybody does that.
No outside help, and nothing was said. And the outside people wouldn't have known this.
Nope. So
Which speaks well.
it does.
But the thing that I didn't understand, man, and I looked at Daddy. Daddy was spoiled. All of those
Well, I
boys.
know, yes, and then
All
Mother
of those-
did her job too.
All the boys were spoiled.
Right.
Oh, there were 7 of them. They were good looking. And Mary Coon used to say they had beautiful horses. And buggies. Of course, they made the buggies. And and they courted, you know, they made quite a splash. But I was told that she made her girls wait on their brothers.
I had heard
which was
that
wrong.
too. I had
Which was
heard
wrong.
that. Right.
Because I often said, Daddy, how could you be so spoiled in a big family like that? But they were. They were spoiled. And she was so high.
Little tiny. I remember the garden.
She reminds me of Ann.
Oh, exactly.
Who?
Ann. And you know, they said
Ann who?
Grandma Ann,
Claude's
Oh, okay.
Claude's granddaughter.
Her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Claude's and Renelle's daughter. First daughter.
Oh, I meant that. I didn't mean granddaughter, excuse me. And then they said Grandmother Bullock was pretty. And I think
She
there were
was.
some pictures that I saw.
You should go up.
I saw
But
one
this is
somewhere. And they remind me too, again, of...
You know the new motel that has suites that was built in Conover on the Taylorsville Road? Renelle put pictures of them up there.
I'm gonna plug this guy in.
They're in the hallway. So sometimes you might want to go in there.
Just take out
You're not
anything.
using that fan.
No. We still go into the den.
Sometime you might want to
We're
go up
having
there.
fun right
see.
here.
Huh?
We're having fun here.
I am. This
If you'd
is,
rather go in.
no. I just wanted to be sure you're warm enough. The kitchen, this one's not coming on. It
Do
needs
you
to
want
be.
to know another ironic thing? Someone has written a book. Well, that's about this.
I know what I
shaped
meant
that
was,
way.
it is,
It's
and
shaped
it
that way.
shows the, because he is praised in that little book, and I sent it
He's
to
praised
the
in the-
grandchildren.
He's praised.
I got it down at
he's
the
praised-
library.
Was it down at the library? He's
What
I mean,
praised.
may
book
not
are
be-
we talking about?
We may not be thinking about the
We
same
may not be
thing.
thinking
okay.
of the same book.
But you had told me about that other
Yeah, I
one.
happened to be down at the museum when the man and woman were there.
Well, there's some woman that wrote this,
Well,
though.
this was a couple that wrote it.
I
Well,
think
we
we're
were
talking about a
conversing.
different one.
The man that didn't, he invented the wheel, the steel wheel, but it got a
Reinvented it.
He got- well, no, it was a steel one, and he got a thing from Jamestown, a
Mhm.
certificate, the expedition, because we gave that from the shop to the museum.
So one of our ancestors reinvented the wheel.
It was
No, it was a steel wheel.
Steel
Yeah,
wheel, and
not-
yet
Not a wheel.
where did I get that Ford had taken his invention? I swear I heard
Well, he
that from
probably
growing
told
up.
it. Well, he could have, he wasn't
No,
that
no,
smart.
no, yet. I don't know. That could be
He
absolutely
had a
wrong.
patent,
I don't know.
didn't he?
Yeah,
Huh?
the
I think he
steel
had a
wheel.
patent. I remember from.
I don't know whether he did or not, but I know we've got the certificate
Mhm.
from the Jamestown something.
Yeah, seen
I mean, now that's authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And also gave the museum the first one that we think was the first one. It's the one I had in my kitchen that I wouldn't give up until I moved. It was down at the shop. And we gave
The
it.
display is very nice. I've seen the
I'm
one
going to take
down.
him by to see
Oh,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Very nice.
should go
It
by.
is. Very
And
nice.
wasn't it nice of Sydney to do
Oh,
it?
yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. We gave him, before Shorty died, and the boys' approval, everything. I had heard he wanted the Mebane,
Mhm.
and so went through everything. Now, sometime he might do something with that, but I feel like he will, I guess. But I think he did a good job with it. And the second one is just so nicely done. Very nicely done.
Do you have a lot of stuff from the paper?
Yes, we did.
Mhm.
We let him take everything. Shorty was not participating because he really wasn't good then, but let him, he took box after box after box after box of
Mhm.
things. And he was especially interested in Shorty's grandfather, who was a preacher and the one that educator and a preacher, and he had many hats. And the hobby, Shorty said, actually the paper was a hobby. He never made any money off of that, and whatsoever. So, but nevertheless, he got a lot of those things, whatever he wanted.
It's not that marker down at the end of the street. I'll go down that way and he can see it.
Yeah, and so that
Now, what else does Shorty do?
that's it.
The paper.
He
Yeah, the hobby.
he was given no choice. I
That's
think
what I
he was
thought.
given a choice of being a doctor by his mother, that she never forgave him, I don't think, or to be a newspaper man, and he chose being a newspaper man.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Well,
That
he's
was
good
there.
at it.
That was there.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted him so to be a doctor.
did you?
Mhm.
It's a lot of news for a lot of years. It is.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring that up.
Yeah,
we're
because-
talking about
Oh,
the
no,
other
that's
side
right.
of the family.
No,
Well,
no.
there were three.
That's how the family spreads
There
out,
were
is
three names,
marriage. And
Yeah.
that's how we are.
What was the first one?
You're talking about, oh yeah,
There were three names on it.
Observer News Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was a consolidation of.
Yeah. But what was the first one?
Well, we would
Kentucky?
have to go
I'd forgotten, but I remembered there were three.
for the history of it.
Yeah,
And
'cause
this,
when-
I'm trying to think when,
Al Mebane and all went in. Yeah.
yeah, that was the Catawba News Enterprise.
Catawba's. I thought
Yeah.
Catawba.
That was most unusual.
I knew that it went through.
It did. Mr. Mebane, and he started, I guess that's because he knew it. And he started the other paper.
Yeah.
He and Weaver did not. That just didn't
Weaver.
work. Weaver man didn't work.
Al.
When he came back.
Well, Mary, you need to go, don't you? Just a little bit.
11:30?
11:30.
It's 10:02. I don't
Oh,
want
we've
to
got
take. I
plenty of
don't
time.
want to take all your time.
This videotape here is free. We can use the whole thing up. This is just old videotape. But I mean, these things are like a couple hours a piece. So I mean, we could just, and if we say stuff we don't want
And
people to
he's
know us
cheating
for, then
because
we
he
could.
swung it this way, and I've been running my mouth. That's where I was going
If we want
to
to, if we want to go back and erase stuff, we can erase it or whatever.
Isn't that
It
nice?
doesn't matter. Yeah,
That's
so
nice that
it's
you
really
can
nice
erase.
that you can just.
I wanted to erase my face.
Mine too. Don't even
We'll-
put mine
we'll
on it.
use
Your
computers
grandmother, that's
to,
fine.
We'll
But-
use computers to
but
make
I'm-
us all look very good. That's all we'll
Can you do it up?
I'm only an aunt, and that's your grandmother sitting there.
Well, this
James,
what do you
it was
mean?
fun. I went down. You got, let's see, yeah. You got mumps.
You're so sweet.
I
Mumps,
went
that's
down
right.
to stay with you.
In Greenville, we're talking about
We're talking
Greenville,
about
North
yes.
Carolina.
My Lord.
Oh yes.
I would head out at 5 o'clock. That was a real struggle for something like to stay in bed.
That's when my parents were in college.
Your parents were in
Exactly.
college,
Mm.
and you got mumps. And I headed out. I had that little Corvair. Chuck and I had it together.
Mhm.
Okay, and headed out in an ice storm. I've never had such a trip in my life. Electricity went off.
I remember hearing about that.
And James,
I certainly do.
James didn't like the dark. Had to go and find flashlights and buy
You're talking about
batteries.
it.
And it was weird.
Mhm.
I mean, you didn't, nothing was on. Fortunately, that, we were in the upstairs of the house, that fortunately, there was a stove that would keep going, so we were warm.
Mhm.
But the
Gas
rest of it
stove.
was a struggle. No electricity, and all
I remember
all
you
you could
talking
hear
about it.
was the ice breaking.
Ooh.
Somebody went
See
out.
how much she loved you?
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
true.
Barney and I had to go see you when you were born. And
That was funny.
nothing would do that we didn't get in a car and go see you.
They did.
We did. We certainly did.
And they were so excited they got down there. Where are our shoes?
Yes, I
they
think
had
they were
left
left by
You
the...
left them out in the front lawn. It was a long
It's-
drive down
Yes,
there.
indeed. It's not the road
didn't
that it is now.
No, we didn't have the interstates.
Down where? Where?
To
Down
Greenville?
From,
Greenville?
Oh.
from here
That's
to
right, I
Greenville.
was going
Right,
down
it
there.
is, much longer.
Mhm.
And Francis Sessa would tell me where to stop and eat, because she should talk a little bit of French, because she's your godmother.
Mhm.
That, where to stop. She rated all restaurants by how good their tea was.
Mhm.
And I'm with Francis. I love good tea. I
And
like
she couldn't
tea.
go from here to Hickory
like hot
without
tea,
stopping
too.
for tea.
Mhm.
And when she had cancer,
Make it.
it was my job to keep that tea. I did so on her when I found out she had money, which I found out, the last few days that she
Mhm.
was living. I took an ice chest up there, and they wouldn't let me scoop it out. And I have to go find a nurse. I said, Francis, I wish to heck you'd buy an ice machine right quick. She was a remarkable person. She was crazy about y'all.
Yeah.
And you were her family.
Mhm.
You were her family. But you were a pretty child.
Beautiful.
Have you seen your baby pictures?
I said I got
Beautiful.
spoiled because I didn't turn out that way. I'm afraid.
Still has that
Eyelashes.
beautiful hair.
Eyelashes, eyelashes, and that so long a boy should never have them.
Should
Blonde
go to a
curly
girl.
hair, and I went down to Belk's here in Newton and got you those overalls. I think those overalls are the cutest thing with the bib on them. You were a doll. Yeah.
Maybe, can we turn on this
Heavens,
light up here?
yes.
I don't know.
I
Is
don't
it
know
over
why
here?
Eddie and I like this thing that I had.
Both of them would be good,
Of
maybe.
course.
I don't know
And
what,
here too.
how this thing works exactly,
Oh,
but
that's
probably
wonderful.
you
I've been
need
in
light.
the dark.
For it.
Great. It could be a
Very
shadow.
good.
I'll be a shadow. Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, I just know when they do something, when they try to make it right, then they have lights all over the place.
Oh,
That's
right.
about all I know.
Most certainly can. I noticed there are a few cobwebs because I never turn it on.
Oh, I don't think the camera's
That's
catching
true.
that.
And it was one that Miss Niven had in the attic,
It's pretty.
and I like it.
Oh, yeah.
I like the old ones.
Oh,
She
I-
had taken down this and replaced with
Yeah.
brass. You know how you will, yeah. And those were in her den there over the house.
And they're
too.
all broke now.
Well, all I know is I love it.
You don't know how valuable those things are. You don't know how many years I hunted. They now put white plastic. And they're
that's-
awful.
And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
And
the,
these look like candles.
yes, yeah.
And when Dr. Silly Shuford gave me that cranberry that I had made into a thing, and by the way, Sidney Homer has it, and he has made it the focal point, that chandelier, a focal point of his parlor. It is absolutely gorgeous. He had, the gas fixtures I had, I wasn't
Right.
and he and Jerry had come up with stuff in a box and says, does this look like yours? And I knew that they went in that house. And so he got all three of those fixtures.
Hmm.
But I hunted and hunted to find
about
those, because they
that?
look like candles.
Well, that's what happened to be on it.
You're lucky.
I'd never really ever asked her for things because she was not the type you would, and she never really particularly offered. I did. These were at Beach Mountain.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
so were taken out of the house up there. Those little sconces
You
and
just
this.
don't leave that kind of thing
Oh,
in the house.
no.
And that was why I took down the 3 fixtures.
No. I don't think so. We all
And
think like
it was
that.
like Bob said, we don't want James to go take a picture of the house now.
I told
She's got-
James
well,
over the phone. I
She's
said,
got 3 dogs
that's
and 3
exactly
children,
right,
and she's
and
helping
that's
her husband.
understandable. It is,
And we paid a fortune to keep it up, and the rest
that's
of the
right.
time
I said, when he mentioned it over the phone, I said, if a leaf fell, Eddie or Bob were out in the yard
That's
and they
right.
got the leaf up. The leaf
I
up.
kept it neat.
Oh, extremely. They
But I was-
swept in the garage
I was
and
telling him
everything extremely. Never ever anything out
that
of
these
place.
people that knew Bob were thinking, you don't live there anymore, do you? And I thought, what a compliment. Because at least it was neat.
It was always kept
Because
to
I figured the
perfection.
least you can do is neat.
That's
He
a-
piles stuff in the garage. That's okay.
That's okay. That's all
It's
right.
his.
They would, and this has nothing to do with you, and I will make it real
Go ahead.
short.
No.
When the Mebbins sold the house up here, Shorty's grandparents' house, I own it, all of them. Oh, they moaned every time that Roy Engel cut a tree. He did take the porch off, and Shorty and I thought, well, it's his.
That's
It's
right.
whatever, Oh,
It's
they
theirs.
just, well, they could have kept it. They didn't have to sell it. I mean, they didn't want to sell it, and it was his. He could just do anything he wanted to with it. So they thought it was still theirs, but it wasn't still theirs.
No.
Oh well, anyway, that was
it's-
yeah.
I mean, that's just in the past.
Right,
It's fine.
and you could see where the lot is, where your grandmother Bolick, the house is not there.
And that
But
was
I
a cute
remember
little
it.
house.
I remember some
Had a
things.
Screen porch in the front.
And
Cute looking house.
It was, and in the back, I can't help but remember a porch and maybe where the
There was a well.
well. See, that made an impression on me.
It was a well between that and another building. And I
And
don't
I
know what
just
that
was-
building was. It probably was a coal, you didn't have refrigerators or something. It
Right.
was probably for
Right.
storage.
Mm-hmm.
But between the house and that, it was covered.
Mhm.
And that was where the well was.
And the
it was
scuppernong
a cute-
vines,
it was
I
a nice looking
remember,
house.
yes, and I remember, I was still young, and I don't think it's pictures, but sort of you go down to the living room. I may be wrong about that.
I don't remember. Only
And
thing
then mostly I
remember,
remember the back.
grandmother, now the chest in Ruth's bedroom now. It was in Ruth's room. I told Mother I wanted something of the Bolicks. And she and I bought the chest from grandmother. Grandmother didn't like old things. I do remember that there was a round table like this
Yes.
that would
That
seat
was-
10 or more. And what happened to that? She didn't like that stuff. She thought it was dull and black and ugly. She liked newer things. I don't know what happened to that. But Mother did, so that is a Bolick chest that your mother has. It's the only thing I've got from the Bolicks.
I had a soap dish I sent to Alaska that Mother said came from the
Did they?
Bolicks. And I
have
sent
one-
it one Christmas,
I have one dish that
but it's a little soap dish.
that Daddy gave his mother that he told me that
Mhm.
I don't know how I got it, but I remember that.
Then there was another little thing but the two
Because there was
things.
a lot of grandmother's things.
So,
But she didn't care anything about them. But that's the difference. You don't have to like them. I just like old things. That's pretty over there, man. You got it all.
oh, thank you. It's probably junky.
Huh?
I had the mirror in the basement. It was one that was in the basement up at Mother's, and I did get that done 2 years ago. And I like the paint off of it, where that's just an old frame. I had a mirror put in it,
Uh-huh.
and so but nevertheless, I've got a lot of stuff out, but that's the way I am. That's the way I am. I have a lot of stuff.
The only thing about moving, and again,
Oh, I'm sure.
I went to
I'm
get
sure.
something to put under the plants you gave me, and the one Ruth did. I knew exactly what I wanted. It was crystal, it was glass. So I go in there and everything. I said, that would be exactly right. They're not there.
She wanted me to get a basket. I says,
No.
my sister Evan has so many baskets.
No.
She does
A
it.
basket.
And I couldn't see a basket there where you had it.
No.
And because you've got...
And it was nice of you to get the thing for me.
I know.
But I knew exactly where I had. This is the most frustrating thing. I go to get things, they're not there. Well, that doesn't matter.
That's right.
I mean, things are things.
That's right.
But I looked, and I thought, there was crawling around, gone. But I couldn't bring all that stuff.
Oh, good heavens, no.
It's just if you move down, and it's hard to decide what to
It would be very hard.
What to
I would
keep.
go through
You don't know
the
what you're
agony
gonna
too.
Mhm.
I mean,
And
not really at the point.
And
at the time.
somehow,
I would be
James
agonized.
Pitter's mother convinced me going through the kitchen. I love Ruth to death, but she is so neat.
She tosses.
She is so neat.
For sure.
I think she and Sissy are exactly alike.
She's
on that.
so neat.
Exactly.
And it has to do, and she didn't help me except in the kitchen, and she went through, Mother, you're not going to need all these muffin tins. Well, here I am with these dinners and taking out. I had to go buy one. But, and I believed her. I thought when I went down there, I wasn't going to need all this stuff. I've had to replace the kitchen. It's okay.
That's
Mm.
No big deal.
That's all right. That's all
When I was moving, though, Sue would say, no, thank you. Ruth would say, it doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, I'm going to pitch something at y'all, and I'm going to pitch it and let you do away with it.
right. Right.
I hope you like silver, because they would take no silver.
That's funny.
So I just brought it all down in the corner cupboard. I thought, it was too hard to sell. I wasn't going to mess with it.
I have sent, and it's the last thing in this world that he wants, I have sent silver to Alaska. And what was it? And,
Here I'm being so
and when we
nice.
were there in the A-frame, because I said and it was sort of tough in not having the money, to send certain things, and I was sending things from here. And I said, Shorty, the silver goblets. Oh, yes, sterling silver. And, of course, Hardin brought them out just in black. And then it was so cute. One Christmas, Sharon's mother loved to come up there to the A-frame, not where Hardin built. And she says, I will polish them. I think they stayed at...
I made the mistake of asking.
Go
What I should have done is put them in the mail.
If you could put them in the mail, then they have no choice. It's just, of course, I didn't send. Well, yes, anyway. And Robert and
Because I
they
don't
took
care
it
what
'cause
they
they
do
liked
with
it,
things.
I
I mean,
don't
they
either.
can keep them.
I didn't
or not.
either. I didn't either. So I didn't either.
I do
Good.
want, and I was telling James, that I wish he would tell, I know what Marion wants.
Mm-hmm.
She likes things. But, of course, we gave you the watch.
Well, I'll tell you what I like is all that wood stuff.
The what?
The wood.
Okay.
All this wood things and needlepoint.
Yeah, and you like needlepoint.
The thing is, I don't have a house right now. What am I
I
gonna
think
do with
that
it?
you're the one that's going to do it again.
But, and that's why I brought that girl out. And if you could use the pillow, that's something, you know what I mean. But I wish you would pick out just one piece to remind you of us. But you don't have to.
Right.
But that's just me. I
I
like
can
looking
take
at
it.
things.
I had enough
appreciate it.
I better quit.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get
But,
all
I
jittery.
like looking at things and remembering.
I do too. 'cause
There's
I do
certain
this-
odd things in the
I
house.
do this in this house.
Mhm.
Mhm.
As long as I had my memory and I
Because
keep
see,
it.
now Forney's gone,
That's right.
but I kept the Christmas tree.
Yes, and
Which
it was
was
so
one of the last
lovely.
things.
That's right, to see that.
So,
And it's one of the
I
first
bring
things
it out
I
every
bring up.
Christmas, and
The first.
that's fine.
The first.
And there's something of yours, you know what I mean, and it's just, but that's just me. And there's certain things of Francis's that I have kept.
Same here. That Santa Claus with the baby Jesus that she gave us one year.
Yes, and there was one left, and I use it every Christmas because I thought that was real strange. It's Santa Claus looking over baby Jesus, and they're signed. She bought them in California for some reason that she liked that connection. And she gave them to them, and
I don't remember seeing
and
it.
she had bought 3. I bring it out at Christmas.
It's just a little bottle,
I
but
just haven't seen it.
it reminds me of her. That's what
Sure,
it is.
and I love
And
those
that's not-
memories.
It doesn't make any difference.
And
what
Mother
it
was
is.
that way. Don't you know
Oh, yeah.
how she would have you come over to put things away for the book club because she would go. I mean, Aunt Maybe gave this, and
Well,
this
that's
was
the way it
everything
should be.
presents, and I do too.
And
Because
she'd
that's
say-
the way that's why I've got so much
And
stuff
she said,
out.
"Oh Lord, I went.
Turn this light off.
See, I'm in that book club. I came in the back door because I forgot it. The reason I was in it, but Lord, that book club Martha Klein has kept will be one.
You
She
said so.
the other day.
You said
It
so.
has been continuous, and in 5 years it will be 100 years that book club is gone.
Wow.
And and I joined it because Muller sort of wanted me to, and I forgot to go. And they called me, and I said, "Oh yes, I'll be there next meeting." But I plain forgot. It was when your mother ran off and got married, and I wasn't hitting on all fours. And Pop says, "You need to get out and do something." But I've enjoyed knowing Martha. So.
Yeah, I enjoy her. I did, and I feel like she's a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Dwayne too.
Oh, yeah.
And but there were years, and she was good to the children, both of them. Taking them down to the ball games, both of them. But Shorty had the tickets, and I went sometimes when I could, and then sometimes one boy would go with him.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
But she's real smart. She's real smart.
She ran the Hosier Mill.
Oh yes, real smart.
They both have masters in music.
Mm-hmm.
This is just friends. And she was an only child. And she inherited a hosiery mill. And he came down to run the hosiery mill.
Mm-hmm.
And then he decided to retire. They have no children. They're a little different from the average person.
Very much
Very
so.
different.
Very much so.
I like them both.
I do too.
But, and then he decided he didn't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and run the hosiery mill. Unbeknownst to me, she started running. She sold it to a young man, and he didn't make the go of it.
Right.
She was
And
running it.
Mm-hmm.
She took it house off. Y'all go in that house.
I know. Bless her heart.
Congressional,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
the literature. She can't possibly read all that stuff. Anyway. And music, both are masters in music.
Oh, interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
what
it
people,
would be to you.
how
Right.
people, you would love talking to them.
Yes.
different.
Oh, yes, she could just.
Especially her.
Yes, she would.
Her last month, we meet on the second Thursday. She had the program, and she said she decided to reminisce about, you would have loved it. I didn't know what she was going to do, because it was a Vera Arntz. But she reminisced about Newton,
Oh, yes.
her growing up years.
Mhm.
And it was interesting.
It would be, because she would remember.
She researched it to all the newspapers, and she picked up a lot of this when she was researching the
Oh,
club.
right.
Hmm.
Oh, right.
I know it would have been interesting to other people. The hotels that were here, there were 2 hotels.
And that's a connection with Aunt Mary, with one of them, the,
Aunt Mary Barringer
well, I thought
is
it
who
was,
had the,
Your
thought
Aunt
it-
Mary?
I thought it was also Aunt Mary. It was
She
another Aunt
had-
Mary Barron.
she had one in Hickory. There was something
Okay,
similar.
all right.
I wish you had known her aunt. She
Mhm.
married 3 times.
Really?
Mhm.
And she was low, chubby, more fun. Loved talking to her. Mother disapproved of her a little bit, but she married first time a yunt. So she said my name was Mary Abernathy Young. She said, boy, was I a gay one. May. The second one she married was a Decker. And she said I stayed mad the whole time. She divorced him. And then she said I married Moore. He was nice. To please my children. And I became a ma'am. Oh, she was old.
Now, Mary Barringer, is she also related? I thought so.
And you could ask, Bill Hilton talks about
I
it.
got, I'm going through Nana's things. and
St.
it was
Hubert Inn.
in
St. Hubert Inn.
in the attic was a little, and I know it's a portrait of Nana, by Mary Barringer. I have no idea. Would you know whether she did any painting?
Ask Bill Hilton.
I did, and she didn't. So
She
she
didn't
stayed with her.
Yeah. She knows them. And they had one child that they...
But she didn't
She
know.
wasn't their child. I'm something anyway. She didn't know.
She did not know.
I don't know.
This was a long time ago,
Way
and I
back.
remember asking you.
Way
and,
back. Don't
I
get that.
asked her because she had mentioned.
But there's a connection in the family through
Yeah.
the Bolicks.
Yes.
May, who do you call Nana?
Mrs. Medlin, Shorty's
Okay,
mother.
okay.
That's what the children call
Cute
her.
name.
And somehow, and
Baba.
Baba for Mr. Medlin.
Mm-hmm.
That how they came about. They just came about.
It's what they could say, it sounds
That's
like,
right.
at a certain age.
That's right. So.
Because see, Shorty was an only child.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So that these were the only three grandchildren.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
They certainly were.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you are the only ones I know. Your mother and Chuck were Francis Setzer's godchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, that James and Marion could be her great godchildren. I've never heard of that. She had
Makes
she
sense
could
to me.
go right ahead and
But she,
finish.
but she said, I don't see why that couldn't be. See, she was an
That's
only
right.
child. I said, I don't either. She said, okay, that's what it's going to be.
And there's no.
I don't
no
see
wrong
any
with
rules
that.
against
I don't
that.
either. No,
I've never heard of one.
But you were lucky. That was one more person that was interested.
Yeah.
That's right.
Life's funny.
Yeah.
What'd she do before she was a legislator?
She was a teacher for 6 weeks. A business course teacher, whatever that you would call them.
She would teach courses
She-
that lasted 6 weeks.
It was when the schools let out
Mm-hmm.
for the children to pick cotton.
Mm-hmm.
They went 6 weeks and then they were out
Because I was
6 weeks,
in
I
there,
guess.
and then we did this during the war in our high school. We went out to
Okay.
pick cotton.
Well, so she
Even
was
here.
out. She was out at Balls Creek for 6 weeks, and she found out she did not like teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh, it's
So she
difficult.
she went
It's
back.
worse now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She went back to school. Well, of course, she had a business degree,
Right.
and she went back and took a few more courses. But then she went to work for Clyde Fabrics
Mm-hmm.
here, manufacturing. And when she retired from that, they replaced her with 2 people. Frances was smart. And not only smart, she applied herself.
Mm-hmm.
Then she went to Harvard and got a degree in health.
Really? I had no idea about that.
Went to work for your grandmother Wanzer.
Uh-huh.
That was quite a combination.
I'm
Both
sure it
of them.
was. I heard about it at the time.
She even took a trip with her and she said, Evelyn,
Oh.
do not ever try to correct a wrong impression. She had her in tears.
Mm.
Frances didn't cry easy. She came back and she says, don't you ever, if her mind's set, you let it go. Don't ever argue with her. Yeah, she worked with her with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And then, yeah, she'd gotten a degree at Harvard. Then her father got sick, only child.
Mm-hmm.
And she came back here to stay with him and dealt in stocks and bonds. And that's where she made all this money. And you know, I did not know. When she was in the hospital, and we knew that it was the time was real short. And I asked Bob, and he says, you can go up and spend this is good trade of Bob's. He said, you can go up and spend the days. I'll just go out for lunch. So I went up that morning and to stay with her. You know, I was going to spend my days with her. And I'd gone up about 8:30, and 11 o'clock the nurses came and said, you're walking on the telephone. And your grandmother had died. Bob's mother had died. So I went into Francis and I said, Francis, I gotta go. I said, you know, Sidney won't ask me, but he'll stay at our house. He just, and I said, Pip will hold back. That was the difference to them. I said, Pip will hold back, and I said, but I'm gonna invite him. So that means that they'll be at my house. And I can only come check on you and then come back. So I went to the telephone, can you imagine this, Marion, and called Claude. And I said, Claude, I'm having to leave. And I looked at Francis and I said, Francis, now I cannot take extra knowing that you're not taken care of. I'm going to hire nurses. And she looked at me and she said, Evelyn, I hope you never lose control. I looked at her and I says, I don't want control. But I went to the telephone and called Claude. And I said, Claude, Bob and I will help. Does Francis have the money to hire nurses? Well, Claude hooped and hollered and says, what on earth are you asking? And I said, well, you know, it was real funny. We got in touch every day.
That's funny.
But money was never discussed. And she kept the same way of doing. Because she always had enough money to get a car every 2 years. She always had enough money to get clothes. She always took trips. But I knew her mother had left her money. Her father had left her money, so I didn't know. And Claude laughed and says, your kid? I said, no, but I says, I'm hiring nurses. And I want them around the clock. But Francis was real funny. I hope you never lose control. I said, shoot, I didn't want any control. Do you? Evans, no. But she was okay. She did it for me. But I says, I cannot leave without, you know, knowing that you're taken care of. So. And that was that last week or so of her life. Yeah. But you were fortunate. She loved y'all. Yeah.
And then she was in the legislature for
how
many terms?
Two terms.
Yeah.
She didn't want.
4-year terms.
She didn't want.
Two.
It was. I say 2 or 4 years.
Maybe they were
good
2.
Question.
She was there for 4 years.
She was there 2 terms.
But I should know.
And do you remember that you were there? She asked for you, and we took you down there. And you sat on the floor with her when she was being sworn in. She wore a hat.
That's typical. That would be typical.
Francis had a hat on.
Classic is right.
Francis had a hat on, but she said, James is old enough. So I hope he will remember this.
I do.
Yeah. Oh, I'd forgotten. Yeah.
Saw her office.
Yeah.
She told me all about what she did, you know, went to talk to people.
But that was quite an honor. She could ask one person while she was being sworn in, and she had James.
Very good.
She came home, that was when I stopped reading the funny paper, which I enjoyed, and started reading the news and what was happening in North Carolina. All it does
going on.
And all it does is make my blood pressure go up. I mean, it doesn't accomplish anything. So I could talk to her on weekends. She came home every weekend. She did not want to go back. She said, I'm not accomplishing anything. And I said, well, Francis, you are, because you're stopping. You know, we've never had a good representative down there. I mean, that could really pull. And I said, at least you're stopping. She went down there with Cass Ballinger.
Right.
And
remember.
And I kept on. I said, Francis, you've got to go back. And she did go back the second time. But she says no more. She was disillusioned.
I'm not sure whether it's 2 or 4 years.
You know, I
Was
know
she
you-
down there
Isn't
for
that
8 years?
crazy?
It would be 8 years.
It would
then.
be 8 years if, and it's probably 4.
I'm
Well, I'm
gonna
not
go
sure,
find out.
yeah. Because I'm
I
not,
can't
I can't remember that.
I can't either.
I know she went for the re-election, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to. But
Because she and Bob sat there to get a slogan.
mhm.
I'm no good. I said, I'm gonna listen, because I'm no good at that. And they came up with every house needs a lady. and Mary Love, I wonder what happened to that. And Mary Love did her across-stitch thing, and that was her slogan.
Mhm.
Every house needs a lady.
That's a good
And
one.
she wore hats. Yeah. I'd forgotten. Yeah, you were down there with her.
Mhm.
Sworn in, because she said you were old enough. Marion wasn't old. She didn't think Marion was old enough to remember it.
You were the first.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was awfully interested in you too. Made it nice.
Sure it did,
Yeah.
certainly.
Because you know, our family got real small there. Now we're practically non-existent.
Oh, I know it, and everything is precious. Every one of you are precious. You know, the
Well,
family's
see,
very small.
See, I'll be 81.
Mhm.
And I'll be
Especially compared to
73.
12 kids. It's small.
Yes, yes.
Well, 12 on one
Comparison.
side, 14 on the
That's
other.
right.
And
That's a big
large,
difference right
that's
there.
big. That's very big. That's right.
And
It was
yet
a lovely
Daddy-
way to grow up.
And yet Daddy died at 81, and we thought he was old.
Old.
He had a stroke.
That's
Mhm.
right. But he had those declining years.
He had those
during,
declining years,
right up to it.
but died at home in his sleep.
That's
Mhm.
exactly wonderful. I mean, that's a wonderful way, and
A
Mother just
wonderful way
petted
to go.
him to death.
Because
and-
Mother called me, and that I had my bag packed.
Right.
That was when
Yeah,
Bob was
yeah.
being operated on for a disc
That's right, at the same time.
in
Right.
Charlotte. And I was going to Charlotte to spend a
Right. And
Spend
she
the time
called
with
me,
him.
and I went up.
And I will never forget, nor appreciate, and I told Adrian that. Adrian Shuford called. That's Dot's. Well, Adrian too did things like that, and Dot Sitter did. And Adrian called and said, when I went over to the house, he called the house and he said, Evelyn, you are in no fit frame of mind to drive to Charlotte.
Mhm.
He said, I'll send somebody over, and they'll drive it. And it was Kenneth Esther. And I stayed until Bob came out of the operating room, and bless Macon's heart, she was there with me. And how I got back, I don't know.
Well,
I draw a blank on that. I've often thought, wonder how I got back home, because I came back. Because I came back to be with Mother that night.
but I was there during the day.
And because you children, you had to come home, and Forney had the company. From what
Yes,
you remember,
she did.
Nick was there.
Yes, right. But,
And so I stayed. But where were my children? But I had made
Oh, but I
arrangements for
remember
them. They must
calling
have
the
been.
funeral
They must
home.
have been with Francis
And Dr.
Winters.
Knight.
Because I always left them across the street. You know, when Francis Winters was good.
Mhm.
I had a good neighbor, and yeah, and so that must have been where they were.
That's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
Very possible.
Anyway, but the fun part is, I thought when Adrian died the other week, how did I get back home?
And I
But
don't
you did.
remember either.
But I stayed until Bob got out of the operating room and until he came to. And we didn't tell him. I didn't say anything. And he said, I knew something was wrong because you were gone and Macon was there. And then Macon told him.
Mhm.
Right.
And then I had to stay through the funeral, and then I went down. But I'd sure draw a blank on that.
And I don't remember either.
And strangely enough, your grandmother did not come up,
Mhm.
which really was unlike her. because she was very thin, and
Why do you think that was?
and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad, Bob's father, they didn't get along.
Mm-hmm.
Dad came up, which also was strange.
Hmm.
But he came up and he was with me, and he was with me during the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what went on down in Charlotte, but
Something.
maybe she wanted to stay with Bob, probably.
Well, now that's possible.
Which
That's
makes
the-
sense.
Yes,
Mhm.
and that's
Because
the,
you see, we had a
the
double,
way,
double thing
yeah,
there.
that would be
But
the nice thing to
so
have.
unlike Dad. But I thought later, that was awfully good of him, because he was doing something he was uncomfortable with. Good-looking man.
Mm-hmm.
I was real proud to have him.
Sure,
He was
certainly.
very wonderful manner.
Mhm. That's like Mr. Niven. He was
Mhm.
such a fine gentleman. And you're the one that,
Mr.
I remember Mr.
Mr.
Wanzer was a
Niven.
gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, Mr. Niven thought Marion was perfect,
No,
And I
Mary was
thought-
perfect.
and I looked
But he
at
was awfully nice to me.
and I looked at him one day and I said, she's not
No,
perfect. She doesn't
indeed.
like to. It was
No.
it was something
No.
you didn't like to do. And
Oh,
I thought I
I'm
was
sure there
being
was a
real
lot.
cute, and I said, but she doesn't like to do that. He didn't think it was funny.
Oh.
So I shut up.
Oh, no.
He didn't think that was
Felt like
funny.
you said the
But
wrong
he
thing.
was a gentleman, and Mr. Wanzer was
Yeah.
a gentleman every time
He
that
really
I was
was.
around him.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't
know what happened in that family. Sidney, if you've read all his, I haven't read all his stuff. I
I
will
hadn't gotten
someday.
to it yet.
But Bob wrote him
Mm-hmm.
because he, of course, let's see, there's 13 years between you and Forney.
Right.
There's
and-
11 years between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And something happened in those 11 years that they didn't get along when Sidney was. And Bob was real upset when he read Sidney's account, which you ought to know if you
Mhm.
ever get around to reading it. And he wrote him and he said, Sidney, you saw parents that I did not, he said, I saw
A
them.
different time.
But he said, I saw
Very
my
different.
parents at a different time.
Oh, yes.
And also, Sidney Wanzer wrote a medical thing, which is wonderful. He's got a wonderful mind in there, and he says, my mother had Alzheimer's,
Mm-hmm.
and she did not have Alzheimer's.
I had never heard that.
And Bob, you don't bring it up around Bob?
Oh, I wouldn't. I would not.
Yeah, you
Well,
probably-
when both
No,
of
I
them-
never would I.
No, when Bob and I wrote in there, in the first place, family pride, we didn't want in there. In the
Mhm.
second place, Sidney only came to see his mother once every 6 months or 8 months, and only stayed 2 days at the most.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if he was a doctor. She did not have Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
Her mind, of course, at the last, she was sort of like Mother, she shut it down.
If that's all
Mhm.
right, that's what they
Oh.
wanted.
You realize she was in a nursing home 7.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time. And she lived to be 91. And I hadn't thought of this, but you really need to know this as you go through that material. It is slanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel sorry that
That's good.
Sidney did not know, and that's what Bob wrote him and told him a lot of things. I feel sorry that Sidney didn't know his parents at a different age.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I got engaged, they weren't speaking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Living in the same house, not speaking. Well, and the funny part was that when he came back from service and we didn't have a place to go, and he was in Charlotte, we were at the house for 2 weeks,
Mhm.
the two of us. They had to begin speaking because it was so awkward. I mean, it became real awkward.
Neat.
Yeah.
Very
You've got
neat.
2 people that didn't
Very
speak to
neat.
each other, and
Very
you've
neat.
got a daughter and a daughter-in-law and a son living there for 2 weeks. They had to bridge that, and also she would not let she wouldn't let me call her Mother. which I couldn't either. I couldn't because of my mother.
Oh, it was so difficult with Mrs. Niven.
But you
Yes.
had done that.
Well, only after the children came.
Yes, only after the children.
That's right. That was the
And
only
I
time.
would say, ask your grandmother. And because we sat there one night and she said, you're to call me Ruth.
Mm.
And I looked at her and I said, but my mother wouldn't approve.
Mhm.
And
No, she would not
mother
have
would
either.
have really upset and upset me. I said, I can't do that. And she just looked at me. Well, Macon was there sitting with me. That's what's so funny. Macon got on the telephone a couple of days later and said, Mother, and she came, mother came back in, and she had slammed down the receiver. She said, no female. I'm no mother to a female. But Macon called her own mother, Susie. So Macon got around to calling her Ruth, but I didn't. And she used to take a perfect delight in trying to get me into a position where I'd have to. But I used my children to get her attention.
We certainly would not, the mother would not have approved. Even her
No,
friends,
no.
that we certainly could not call
I mean,
her
it wasn't a
friends
question, and that's what I told her.
by their first
I
name.
said, I can't do it
Mhm.
because of my mother. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
She used to tell people, she didn't know how to call me. I just sit there,
That was all right. I mean,
Yeah,
that you
she-
didn't, yeah.
no big deal.
No, I mean, that's your...
Don't let the
that you
time
did
get
that.
away from you.
No, 10:46 is not, still have time, but I don't want the time to get away without my packing up your rolls.
Yeah.
No.
To
I hear
take
you.
with you, but I'm just leaving and I'll take
James,
more.
you better take them with you, because
And Evelyn, you're to take
Bill
some too, both
Mason,
of you.
Bill Mason likes them, and you're
Oh.
really
Well,
take
now,
them.
Evelyn, your grandmother can make better rolls than I can.
Mm-mm.
But yes, you
I make
can.
a
Yes,
different
you
kind.
can.
Yeah,
It
they're
doesn't
different.
matter. And I just happen to be on these now. And
Chuck
it's just
cannot
that I'm
have,
sharing what I make.
Chuck cannot have milk, dairy products. So I've got one,
Right.
and it's called a cornmeal.
I've made that. That came out. It's delicious.
It's
Don't you know?
delicious.
It's in that.
And it freezes.
It's good. It's in the.
It's the one thing, and like...
What's the name of that magazine that Bob gave
I
Shorty?
took
That's where it came from.
it would taste of home.
Yes. Oh, yes, and I still have it turned to that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that I can use it.
It's the one thing that Sue and Chuck, it is so funny.
I would have
I can
made
do
that
it
to
then.
have
Okay.
taken down there. I noticed Chuck took one of these
He
because
did.
I had.
He said he didn't know, it won't hurt him.
One
every now and
won't.
then. It's like Bill McLaughlin told Al Coon.
One
the other day.
isn't.
He says, shut up and eat it. But, you know what I mean, you can overdo that. But I keep them frozen. And so when Sue and Chuck were leaving, I said, Sue, you want some? Yes, please. Yes, please, on those.
With those, but that's exactly, those
Yeah.
are real good.
And
I have made them.
I bake them halfway, put them in the freezer, and they're good. Bake the rest of the way.
Yeah, now, because these can stand a little, some of them can stand a little bit more. They
Well, you
need to
can
be.
warm 'em, yeah.
Sure, right. But,
That's one thing I can do for them. Bob sure has enjoyed my birthday.
Isn't that nice?
She made me lobster salad.
You told, they told me.
I haven't had lobster.
Just say it.
I haven't had lobster in 10 years.
Whee!
20 years.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
yeah. Something else.
There's some good pictures of the mountain house up there.
Yes, due to Hardin, and Eddie has
Oh,
them
I
too.
would. They're the only pictures I
And that
have.
Christmas, I felt driven to find them. It was not,
They're the only ones I bought.
They were-
They're in my breakfast room.
right, and Evie, I saw, Barney, I saw that got them. And they were on,
And do you know?
not, it was, what kind of film?
Now,
Where you
I've
put
got-
in a projector. So I took those to somebody.
This is a wonderful picture.
You don't have that one?
Yeah, I believe this is the one you, no, this isn't the one you gave me.
Well, I would have, I thought I gave you all of them. They were
You gave
free,
me-
I think.
You gave me two.
Well, then maybe.
And one has, Dorcas and,
No, it's the children playing.
Yeah,
Not Dorcas, it's,
I mean, not Dorcas, but the son.
right,
I
right,
was trying
and
to
they were
think.
playing,
It's not Tommy, it was.
yeah, it was Tommy.
Oh, it was Tommy, because he's.
They're doing airplanes.
And he's standing there, and we've got this, it's a wonderful picture, but he's standing on the thing.
But it was Judah Harden learning to use a
I
camera.
gotta go back there.
You know where it is.
Oh.
And I'll show you grandmother's picture in the
Yeah,
living room.
let's go, wait just a second. I got it.
But here's grandmother, Abernathy. This was one that,
Oh, yeah.
and you probably saw that at Evie's, a picture of her.
I think we did, although it wasn't blown up like this.
And that would be one that mother had. And,
Yeah. That's who you guys have been talking about this whole time.
that's exactly right.
She's a pretty lady.
She is pretty, isn't she? And just the sweetest, dearest person. Just as sweet as she can be. This was a letter I found when I was going through things. I was home this summer. That she had written to me on my birthday. And so I put it by her picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now
And then-
this should be from the,
That's
Mountain
exactly
House, isn't it?
right. And then you two, Eddie, these are prints of grandfather, and you've seen those, and Dayet. But
Mhm.
she had given us Barney a set and me a set one Christmas. And those are nice.
grandfather is.
Here's Grandfather Bullock, the ones we were talking about.
Mhm.
And then your great-grandfather, my father, and Evie's father, right here on the right.
Mhm. I'm afraid it's hard to see.
Well, you maybe can't get that because I don't have a great big
That's all right.
light bulb in there. I'll just do the ones that.
This has always looked so nice in here.
Oh, well,
Always
it's, well,
I
you're,
remember,
you're very kind.
This mantle, when we came over here at Christmas, is always done up
Yeah,
real
but
nice.
see, y'all came, and that's what, oh, I wouldn't give anything for those memories.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else much has changed.
This is the one I've got.
All right,
I've
well,
got
if I've
that
got two, you'll get the other, but I'm not sure I do.
This is, don't have that one, but I've got one.
Well, that's stupid
Listen,
for me to have given you that one instead of this one.
But do you know
I don't know
what?
that I have seen, I gave,
But
saw
you,
that Forney had them, I saw
but
that
you know what?
Robert.
I have one you don't have then. No? Yeah. What is the other one?
I love this. I like to see
It's
this every
this
time
one?
I open the refrigerator.
That is.
Now, I always have,
That's a good one.
yeah, I always have, and I don't right now, I got to put the new one. I took down some of the old ones of little Abby. Abby's
Nice.
usually plastered over here because they're so nice to sit. I've got to put the new one. Oh,
She's
gosh.
a well-documented
Oh,
child.
I love
Well
it.
documented.
Yeah, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I'll show you Mary
she
Barringer's
says.
picture. And not that, now this will have no connection.
I said one.
And I'm trying to think.
Did you get her out of
Yeah, and this is mother, and I know these are her,
Here, I'll
well, we
stand
won't
over
say
here.
cousins, but I know these aren't mother. This is mother. And these, and I showed it to Doris Ann, and she's just not sure if one of these was Aunt Mary.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to see. Remember how I brought it out, Ruth and you and all of us were in the living room,
I don't have it.
and I
Now,
said,
that's mother. I swear. it
well,
is.
I know, I do not think so at all.
You don't think
No,
so?
I don't. I do not.
Well, she changed her.
Shorty
mind.
said he never thought I looked like mother until he saw this picture. We all have some of her features.
Mm.
You know,
But remember, Ruth was asking, and I found
no,
this,
I
and I
don't
put
have-
it up
I'm
then.
not sure I have any of mother.
Well,
That's
this was
strange.
one I drew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There were different things that were drawn,
Right,
which
right.
doesn't make any difference because
No.
I don't have a lot of pictures up anyway. No. I
Well,
didn't
and
mean it that way.
after that was in a drawer. I put it up.
Mhm.
After that.
No, I didn't mean it that way, Tom.
No, good, good.
Forney, I remember getting one of Forney with the curved glass that I gave.
This
back
is
to-
one I got too that I like of
that I
mother.
gave back.
And
to
Aunt
her.
Maddie
Aunt
had
Maddie
made
did
that.
Here, I'm
This
gonna
is
try
the
to
Mary
look at that.
Barringer.
But I gave it back. Yeah. I have this one and a small one.
I feel sure you do.
That's the one I've got out. Yeah.
But if that Mary Barringer did not, and here's the date, and that would have been, this was in Nana's attic, 1910. Is that what it says?
Interesting.
I thought so too. I wanted you to see it, to see what you think that could be the same Mary
I
Barringer.
have no idea.
Well, I don't either.
You're supposed to date them. See,
And that was what, and that might be who. That was in a box in the attic with old stuff in Mrs. Medlin's attic. And so I don't know.
That's why it's important.
And I have a feeling that maybe there's a connection there,
Could be.
with our family. I don't know.
But I know that she was down there. What was the daughter now? Bill Hilton calls the daughter by name, and I can't think of it right this second. St. Hubert's Inn.
Yeah.
That was where it was.
Okay. That was the only thing in here.
Because we hear so little about the Bolick relatives.
Do you
I know.
still have this train?
Yeah, you ought to go down
We
and
ought to
see
go
it.
look at it.
Good. James, you know
That's
what?
something that kids just love.
Oh, and listen, Eddie needs a buddy. He misses his dad. See,
Oh, yeah,
they worked
sure.
on it together.
Yeah, I know that.
And so he didn't touch it
Eddie
until
was
when
so good to you.
he was. Oh, he
Mhm.
was.
Mhm.
James, go down and see. And Saturday, when we were gone,
Mm-hmm.
Eddie got to the basement, and he's right. His dad had it. He was getting sick, and anyway, Ed was doing the main work. Down here we'll go. But Ed took half of it, and oh, darn it, he didn't do a good job. And he maybe will work on it. Now he needs a buddy. Oh, he needs.
Sure he does.
And
Yeah,
he
that's
needs
something to do with
get
somebody.
into the club, and I want you to see what I do with Chuck and Sue's for the snake. and really, and sometimes it stays for 2 years. And but he took but look at this. Look at those
Oh, yeah.
wires. Isn't that
Wow.
fantastic? That blows my mind. But Shorty
Yeah, they
had
got all
this
these
out, which was fine, but Eddie took this apart and put that back, but he can still do the trains over. You follow me?
Yeah.
This was the most ambitious that Shorty had ever, this is the fourth one
Oh.
Yeah.
that they had done. And for years this was storage down here. And
Well, that is something that, I'd forgotten. That
well,
thing
and
all.
so he did let me scared him to death. I did do he took real rocks and made these from real rocks, but they're plastic, and he didn't know whether I could paint. And it just made him so nervous he left. And then when he came back, he says, that's just what I wanted.
Well, good.
And so I got the cheapest I could at Joe Bell's, paints he wanted to do expensive. I said, you don't need expensive paints. And,
No, you don't.
just the cheapest. And so my part was painting. His was to do all of the other, he and Ed. And this was his last project, was this, and that kept him occupied in painting all those little teeny tiny something. But there's to be a circus where it comes around. This is modeled after, and part of this was sat upon by, you remember our cats?
Oh, yeah.
And the heaviest one sat on it at his desk and demolished it.
Oh.
But anyway, that is to be Spencer. Oh, where you've been maybe, and they
Yeah,
got.
we
I
did go
haven't
over
been there since they have spent all
Had
the money.
museum.
No, the museum I've seen.
Oh,
But see, they
other.
had money delegated to them, but we were over there a
Yeah.
couple of times. So
I'd
that,
forgotten that it was
yeah, but Eddie
all
needs
that,
a buddy.
'cause look at there.
Right. Yeah, that, because there was no reason for you and Bob to come down here,
No,
so you
we
didn't
hadn't been down
see.
here.
Yeah, there'd be no reason
Yeah.
whatsoever. And, but anyway, it came out to here, and with him, he can get there. Shorty, bless his heart, it was some areas you
Yeah.
couldn't get to.
Uh-huh.
So, anyway, Eddie might, anyway, it's what he wants to do, whatever, so we will see.
Great.
what we will see. But James, you were right with trains, and there was just
Chuck
a
told me
small
one time, the Sure's always had them.
He had.
And he says,
should have
why?
been.
Chuck got in the car, he was little, he said, tear standing in his eyes, he said, I don't understand. He said, why don't you let Santa Claus bring me some? Wouldn't cost you anything.
Right, that was good thinking. That was good
And
thinking.
Shorty had him down here. He didn't see
That
why
was
he
good
couldn't have
thinking.
them.
Because he had, and Chuck would have remembered, off where the garage, well, it was a garage and then made into the utility room. That was his first one, and it was just with Lionel. And but then he went in, nothing like this. Oh, it was just a board.
Yeah.
Not even this big. That this was the most ambitious. And finally he got the basement after everybody's furniture got out and all of that. It hadn't been.
It looks good.
Well, it's not that good, but I'm hanging on to these two comfortable chairs and know whether to get them recovered or not. I haven't been able to pitch them out. And one of our dogs really did a job on that one. So, and the cat did a job on scratching. It wasn't good anyway.
Yeah.
And
But that's a comfortable chair.
yes, both are comfortable. I had taken that to the mountains, and that was in that room. It used to be in the living room, and then it was in that little room out in Bowen Rock. And so
Where'd that deer come from?
Huh?
Where'd the deer come from?
Hardin Eben. It was in his.
He was up on the form.
Yes, indeed he was. He
And
most
Morganton.
certainly was.
Mother-
That was his first deer.
Mother inherited a farm up there.
That's exactly right.
That was a grant.
That's exactly right. Yes, and
English
that's
grant.
interesting too.
Had never been sold until till she sold it.
That used to be in the. I don't think he has an interest
had a-
in it at all anymore. So he's
Came
got
down
to
through the
decide.
Forneys.
Yes, because that is another whole area that James
Has-
might be interested
It
in.
has a graveyard
You
Where
would
is
be
that?
Morganton.
in Morganton.
I
outside
had
Morganton.
so wanted us. I had written her back is the reason I still get those to
Yeah.
go up, you
Yeah.
know, because I
Yeah.
told her about
Sometime
Forney
we
dying,
ought to.
and I've told Sissy and Ruth about it, and you know about it, and I even had memographed last year, but did not get them sent. Sissy had mentioned she was interested. Now I know her time's limited or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
and at the time
It's
she
usually
might
in the
not
summer,
be.
and we were-
But it was the Forney. I wrote back and said that, but after Shorty died, I haven't written back, so it's been 3 years. But I'm still getting those, and I will share with you
Yeah. Well,
when
if
they
we
have
go, we
it.
can all go.
Oh, definitely. But I was, well, anyway, so. But you would be interested maybe too, James, since he's interested in it's been a long time
It
since
was
I've seen
quite
the
a
graveyard.
family. I mean, if you're interested, there are books written on them and so forth.
Sure,
and so on. It
sure.
was quite a mother was awfully proud
That's
of
exactly right.
her family.
Exactly.
It's got a lot of history behind it.
It does. It sure does. Yeah, right. Well, thank you for looking. Eddie Megan, and I helped Shorty with when he did the shop and all, and we've invited so many people to come see this, or to, not I mean that, just to come down and work on it.
I had forgotten.
And Eddie says, you know, nobody comes, Mother. In other words, he would like somebody, you know, to
Sure.
come.
Interested. It's
Right.
wonderful.
So
we all bring Abby by here.
he
next
would
time.
be
She would
thrilled
love
to
it.
death
She really
that
would.
you were here.
She really would.
He would be thrilled to death because this was really the project of the three of us. And Shorty did the wiring, but he got help.
But I had
To
just
come.
forgotten.
Because Eddie's the one that works it. I could
But
not
that's
work it.
what I said. I had forgotten that it got this
I kept this. It's not as clean as it once was, but before they could do this, with Shorty and his breathing, I Clorox these walls, I Clorox this, you know, I kept it so that he could breathe. And that was another.
I'm supposed to have 700 hours in it.
700.
I worked all one winter.
on this
on it. It's small. It's small canvas. And it was on painted canvas. And it's real funny. The woman that drew it off on there, I wrote her and I said, do you have a picture of these trees? I came down here and none of them had leaves on them. That was one thing that I had to do. Also, I had to redo the back. You know, you can draw it on there, but you can't make curves.
I love this little dogwoods.
Yeah, so the cutest thing on it, you can't see it really, is a little figure that's about that big.
It is.
And here's a terrible picture over here. See if it keeps on. But it was done for the 100th or the 200th anniversary. Yeah, he's put the people that worked on it. Oh. There I am. Not too good, but not bad. It's a pretty piece.
That's a remarkably good picture.
Huh?
As pictures of you go, that's
As pictures of me go, it's not too bad, is it? And this, I don't know where the lights are, but he takes, these are places that have been,
right,
and he keeps everything. And people donate. There's a rug in there that's dead. I wonder if this door's open. Let's see. Jury Award has the silver medal for the steel wheel. Now there's one that we gave them, and here's your silver medal. They were always down at the shop, and when we took it over, we were afraid something would happen down there. And so we gave it. This you'd be interested in. Think you can recognize them? There's Grandfather Bolick. These are from the catalog. I've got a catalog. Okay. You know which one's Daddy? This one's Daddy. That's Daddy, and that's Claude Abernathy's wife's. See, they were both my first cousins. That's Uncle Ron, and there's O.W. Sr., and this is Uncle Loy, who died young.
And then that's a picture of the shop later on.
Here, you see, he's got them different. And this is the stuff that Bob gave him when we got to the shop. I think it's a nice display.
It is.
And the writing is so pretty in this. We even had the
I was still young, and I don't think it's pictures, but sort of you go down to the living room. I may be wrong about that.
I don't remember. Only
And
thing I
mostly I remember the back.
Grandmother, now the chest in Ruth's bedroom now. It was in Ruth's room. I told Mother I wanted something of the Bolicks. And she and I bought the chest from Grandmother. Grandmother didn't like old things. I do remember that there was a round table like this.
Yes.
That would seat 10 or more. And what happened to that? She didn't like that stuff. She thought it was dull and black and ugly. She liked new, newer things. I don't know what happened to that. But Mother did, so that is a Bolick chest that your mother has. It's the only thing I've got from the Bolicks.
I had a soap dish I sent to Alaska that Mother said came from the Bowdicks. And I sent it one Christmas.
I have one dish that,
But it's a little soap dish.
one dish that Daddy gave his mother, that he told me that, I don't know how I got it, but I remember that.
Then there was another little thing that, but the two
Because there was a
things.
lot of grandmother's things.
So,
But she didn't care anything about them. But that's the difference. You don't have to like them. I just like old things. That's pretty over there, man. You got it all.
oh, thank you. It's probably junky.
Huh?
I had the mirror in the basement. It was a woman that was in the basement up at Mother's, and I did get that done 2 years ago. Because, and I like the paint off of it, you know, where that's just an old frame. I had a mirror put in it. And so, but nevertheless, I've got a lot of stuff out, but that's the way I am. That's the way I am. I have a lot of stuff.
The only thing about moving, and again,
Oh, I'm sure.
I went to
I'm
get
sure.
something to put under the plants you gave me, and the one Ruth did. I knew exactly what I wanted. It was crystal, it was glass. So I go in there and everything. I said, that would be exactly right. They're not there.
She wanted me to get a basket. I says,
No.
my sister Evan has so many baskets.
No,
She
she didn't
doesn't.
have a basket.
And I couldn't see a basket there where you had it.
No.
And because you've got.
And it was nice of you to get the thing for
I
me.
know.
But I knew exactly where I had. This is the most frustrating thing. I go to get things, they're not there. Well, that doesn't matter.
That's right.
I mean, things are things.
That's right.
But I looked and I thought, there was crawling around, gone. But I couldn't bring all that stuff.
Oh, good heavens, no.
It's just if you move down, and it's hard to decide what to
It
keep.
would be very hard.
What
I
to
would
keep.
go through
You don't know
the
what you're
agony
gonna
too. I mean,
And
not really at the point
And
at the time.
somehow,
I would be
James
agonized.
Pitter's mother convinced me going through the kitchen. I love Ruth to death, but she is so neat.
She tosses.
She is so neat.
For sure.
I think she and Sissy are exactly alike on
She's
that.
so neat.
Exactly.
And it has to do, and she didn't help me except in the kitchen, and she went through, Mother, you're not gonna need all these muffin tins. Well, here I am with these dinners and taking out. I had to go buy one. But, and I believed her. I thought when I went down there, I wasn't gonna need all this stuff. I've had to replenish the kitchen. It's okay.
That's all
No
right.
big deal.
That's all right. That's all right.
When I was moving though, Sue would say, no thank you. Ruth would say, it doesn't fit. And I felt like, I'm gonna pitch something, child. I'm gonna pitch it and let you do away with it.
Right.
I hope you like silver because they would take no silver.
That's funny.
So I just brought it all down in the corner cupboard. I thought, it was too hard to sell. I wasn't gonna mess with it. So,
I have sent, and it's the last thing in this world that he wants, I have sent silver to Alaska. And what was it? And,
here I'm being so
and when
nice.
we were there in the A-frame, because I said and it was sort of tough in not having the money, you know, to send certain things, and I was sending things from here. And I said, Shorty, the silver goblets. Oh, yes, sterling silver. And of course, Hardin brought them out just in black, and then it was so cute. One Christmas, Sharon's mother loved to come up there to the A-frame, not where Hardin built, and she says, I will polish them. I think they stayed at...
I made the mistake of asking.
Go
What I
Creek.
should have done is put them in the mail.
If you could put them in the mail, then they have no choice. Of course, I didn't send. Well, anyway. And Robert and
Because I
they
don't
took
care
it
what
'cause
they
they
do
liked
with
it, you
things.
know.
I
I
mean,
don't
they
either.
can keep them.
I didn't
alive.
either. I didn't either. So I didn't either.
I do
But-
want, and I was telling James, that I wish he would tell, I know what Marion wants. She likes things. But, of course, we gave you the watch.
Well, I'll tell you what I like is all that wood stuff.
The what?
The wood.
Okay.
All this wood things and needlepoint.
Yeah. And you like needlepoint.
The thing is, I don't have a house right now, though, so what am I
I
gonna
think
do with
that
it?
you're the one that's going to do it again.
And that's why I brought that girl out. And if you can use the pillow, that's something, you know what I mean. But I wish you would pick out just one piece to remind you of us. But you don't have to.
Right.
Oh, but that's just me. I
I
like
get
looking
you.
at
I
things.
had
I
enough
appreciate
too.
it.
I better quit.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
But,
get all jittery.
I like looking at things and remembering.
I do too. 'cause
There's certain odd things in the
I do
house.
this in this house. You know,
Mhm.
as long as I have my memory and if I
Because
keep
see,
it.
now Forney's gone,
That's right.
but I kept the Christmas tree.
Yes, and
Which
it was
was one
so
of the last
lovely.
things.
That's right, to see that.
So,
And it's one of the
I
first
bring it
things
out
I
every
bring up.
Christmas, and
The first.
that's fine.
The first.
And there's there's something of yours, you know what I mean, and it's just, but that's just me. And there's certain things of Francis's that I've kept.
Same here. That Santa Claus with the baby Jesus
Yeah.
that she gave us one year.
Yes, and there
Yeah.
was one left, and I use it every Christmas because I thought that was real strange. It's Santa Claus looking over baby Jesus, and they're signed. She bought them in California. For some reason that she liked that connection, and she gave them to them, and
I don't remember seeing
and
it.
she had bought 3. I bring it out at Christmas.
It's just a little
have
bottle,
not-
but
I just
it
haven't seen it.
reminds me of her.
Uh-huh.
That's one of
Sure,
those.
and I love
And
those
that's not-
memories.
It doesn't make any difference.
And
what
Mother
it
was
is.
that way. Don't you
Oh,
know
yeah.
how she would have you come over to put things away for the book club because she would go through, I mean, you know, Aunt Maybe gave this and
Well,
this
that's
was
the way it
everything
should be.
presents, and I do too.
And
Because
she
that's the
said-
way that's why I've got so much
And
stuff
she said,
out.
oh, Lord, I went,
Turn this light off.
see, I'm in that book club. I came in
Oh,
the
yeah.
back door because I forgot it, really, and I was in it. But Lord, that book club Martha Klein has kept, will be one,
You
she
said so.
the other day,
You said
it
so.
has been continuous. And in 5 years, it will be 100 years that that book club is gone.
Wow.
And, and I joined it because Muller sort of wanted me to, and I forgot to go. And they called me, and I said, oh yes, I'll be there next meeting. But I plain forgot. It was when your mother ran off and got married, and I wasn't hitting on all fours. And Pop says, you need to get out and do something. But I've enjoyed knowing Martha, so.
Yeah, I enjoy her. I did, and I feel like she's a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Dwayne too.
Oh, yeah.
And but there were years, and she was good to the children, both of them, taking them down to the ball games, both of them. But Shorty had the tickets, and I went sometimes when I could, and then sometimes one boy would go with them.
Yeah, okay. Well,
But she's real smart. She's real smart.
She ran the hosiery mill.
Oh yes, real smart.
They both have masters in music.
Mhm.
This is just friends. And she was an only child. And she inherited a hosiery mill. And he came down to run the hosiery mill. And then he decided to retire. They have no children. They're a little different from the average person.
Very much
Very
so.
different.
Very much so.
I like them both.
I do too.
But, and then he decided he didn't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and run the hosiery mill. Unbeknownst to me, she started running. She sold it to a young man, and he didn't make a go of it.
Right.
She was running it.
Mm-hmm.
She took it house off. Y'all go in that house.
I know. Bless her heart.
Congressional,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
the literature. She can't possibly read all that stuff. Anyway. And music, both are masters in music.
Oh, interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
what
it
people,
would be to you.
how
Right.
people, yeah, you would love talking to them. They're
Yes.
different.
Oh, yes, she could just.
Especially her.
Yes, she would.
Her last month, yeah, we meet on the second Thursday. She had the program, and she said she decided to reminisce about, you would have loved it. I didn't know what she was going to do, because, it was a Vera Arndt, but she reminisced about Newton,
Oh, yes.
her growing up years. And it was interesting.
It would be, because she would remember.
She researched it to all the newspapers, and she'd picked up a lot of this when she was researching the club.
Oh, right. Oh, right.
I know it would have been interesting to other people. The hotels that were here, there were 2 hotels.
And that's a connection with Aunt Mary, with one of them, the,
Aunt Mary Barringer.
well, I thought
Is who had
Your Aunt Mary?
I thought it was also Aunt Mary. It was another
She
Aunt
had-
Mary Barringer.
She had one in Hickory. There was something
Okay,
similar.
all right.
I wish you had known our aunt. She married 3 times,
Really?
Mm-hmm.
and she was low, chubby, more fun. Loved talking to her. Mother disapproved of her a little bit, but she married first time a Yunt. So she said my name was Mary Abernathy Yunt. She said, boy, was I a gay one. May. The second one she married was a Decker. And she said I stayed mad the whole time. She forced him. And then she said I married Moore. He was nice. To please my children. And I became a ma'am. Oh, she was tall.
Now, Mary Barringer, is she also related? I thought so.
And you could ask, Bill Hilton talks about
I
it.
got, I'm going through Nana's things. and
St.
it was
Hubert
in
Inn.
her,
St.
yeah,
Hubert
in the attic was a little, and I know it's a portrait of Nana, by Mary Barringer. I have no idea. Would you know whether she did any painting?
Ask Bill Hilton.
I did, and she didn't, so
She
she
didn't
stayed with her.
Yeah. She knows them. And they had one child that
But she didn't
She
know.
wasn't their child, something anyway. She didn't know.
She did not know.
I don't know.
This was a long time ago,
Way
and I
back.
remember asking you.
Way
and,
back. Don't
I
get that.
asked her because she had mentioned.
But there's a connection in the family through
Yeah.
the Bolicks.
Yes.
May, who do you call Nana?
Mrs. Medlin, Shorty's
Okay,
mother.
okay.
That's what the children call
Cute
her.
name.
And somehow,
Baba.
and Baba for Mr. Medlin.
Mm-hmm.
That how they came about. They just came about.
That's what they could say, it sounds
That's
like,
right.
at a certain age.
That's right. So.
Because see, Shorty was an only child.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So that these were the only 3 grandchildren.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
They certainly were.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you are the only ones I know. Your mother and Chuck were Francis Setzer's godchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, that James and Marion could be her great godchildren. I'd never heard that. She had neither,
Makes
but
sense
She
to
could
me.
go right ahead and
But
invent it.
but she said, I don't see why that couldn't be. See, she was an
That's
only
right.
child. I said, I don't either. She said, okay, that's the way it's gonna be.
And there's no.
I don't
nothing
see
wrong
any
with that
rules
either.
against
I don't
that.
either.
I've never heard of one.
But you were lucky. That was one more person that was interested.
Yeah.
That's right.
Life's funny.
Yeah.
What'd she do before she was a legislator?
She was a teacher for 6 weeks. A business course teacher, whatever that you would call them.
She would teach courses
She-
that lasted 6 weeks.
It was when the schools let out
Mm-hmm.
for the children to pick cotton.
Mm-hmm.
They went 6 weeks and then they were out
Because I was
6 weeks,
in
I
there,
guess.
we did this during the war in our high school. We went out to
Okay.
pick cotton.
Well, so she
Even
was
here.
she was out at Balls Creek for 6 weeks. And she found out she did not like teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh, it's
So she
difficult.
she went
It's
back.
worse now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She went back to school. Well, of course, she had a business degree.
Right.
And she went back to a few more courses. But then she went to work for Clyde Fabrics
Mm-hmm.
here, manufacturing. And when she retired from that, they replaced her with 2 people. Frances was smart. And not only smart, she applied herself.
Mm-hmm.
Then she went to Harvard and got a degree in health.
Really? I had no idea about that.
Went to work for your grandmother Wanzer.
Uh-huh.
That was quite a combination.
I'm sure it was. I heard about it at the time.
She even took a trip with her, and she said, Evelyn, do not ever try to correct a wrong impression. She had her in tears. Frances didn't cry easy. She came back, she says, don't you ever, if her mind's set, you let it go. Don't ever argue with her. Yep, she worked with her with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And then, yeah, she'd gotten a degree in Harvard. Then her father got sick, only child. And she came back here to stay with him and dealt in stocks and bonds. And that's where she made all this money. And you know, I did not know. When she was in the hospital, and we knew that the time was real short, and I asked Bob, and he says, you can go up and spend this is good trade of Bob's. He said, you can go up and spend the days. I'll just go out for lunch. So I went up that morning and to stay with her. You know, I was going to spend my days with her. And I'd gone up about 8:30, and 11 o'clock the nurses came, so you weren't on the telephone. And your grandmother had died. Bob's mother had died. So I went into Frances, and I said, Frances, I gotta go. I said, you know, Sidney won't ask me, but he'll stay at our house. He just, and I said, Pip will hold back. That was the difference to them. I said, Pip will hold back, and I said, I'm going to bite him. So that means that they'll be at my house, and I can only come check on you and then come back. So I went to the telephone, can you imagine this, man, and called Claude. And I said, Claude, I'm having to leave. And I looked at Frances, and I said, Frances, now I cannot take extra knowing that you're not taken care of. I'm going to hire nurses. She looked at me and she said, Evelyn, I hope you never lose control. I looked at her and I says, I don't want control. But I went to the telephone and called Claude. And I said, Claude, Bob and I will help. Does Frances have the money to hire nurses? Well, Claude hooped and hollered and says, what on earth are you asking? And I said, well, you know, it was real funny. We got in touch every day.
That's funny.
But money was never discussed. And she kept the same way of doing. Because she always had enough money to get a car every 2 years. She always had enough money to get clothes. She always took trips. But I knew her mother had left her money. Her father had left her money, so I didn't know. And Claude laughed and says, your kid? I said, no, but I says, I'm hiring nurses, and I want them around the clock. But Frances was real funny. I hope you never lose control. I said, shoot, I didn't want any control. Do you? Heavens, no. But she was okay. She did it for me.
Yeah.
But I says, I cannot leave without, you know, knowing that you're taken care of. So, and that was that last week or so of her life. Yeah. But you were fortunate. She loved y'all. Yeah.
And then she was in the legislature for
how
many terms?
Two terms.
Yeah.
She didn't want.
4-year terms.
She didn't want.
Two.
I say 2 or 4 years.
Maybe they were
good
2.
Question.
She was there for 4 years.
She was there 2 terms.
But
and do you remember that you were there? She asked for you, and we took you down there, and you sat on the floor with her when she was being sworn in. She wore a hat.
That's typical. That would be typical.
Frances had a hat on.
Classic is right.
Frances had a hat on, but she said, James is old enough, so I hope he will remember this.
I do.
Yeah. Oh, I'd forgotten. Yeah.
Saw her office.
Yeah.
She told me all about what she did, you know, went to talk to people.
But that was quite an honor. She could ask one person while she was being sworn in, and she had James.
Very good.
She came home, that was when I stopped reading the funny paper, which I enjoyed, and started reading the news and what was happening
just makes
in
you
North
angry.
Carolina. All it does
What's going on?
and all it
Can't do
does is
anything
make my
about it.
blood pressure go up. I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't accomplish anything. So I could talk to her on weekends. She came home every weekend. She did not want to go back. She said, I'm not accomplishing anything. And I said, well, Frances, you are, because you're stopping. You know, we've never had a good representative down there. I mean, that could really pull. And I said, at least you're stopping. She went down there with Gas Ballinger.
Right.
And,
Remember.
and worried. And I kept on. I said, Frances, you've got to go back. And she did go back the second time. But she says no more. She was
2 or 4.
She was disillusioned.
I'm not sure whether it's 2 or 4 years.
You know,
Was she down there for 8 years?
Crazy.
It would be 8 years.
It would be 8 years, and it's probably 4.
I'm
not
go
sure.
find out.
Yeah.
I can't
I
remember.
can't remember that.
I can't either.
I know she went for the re-election, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to. But
Because she and Bob sat there to get a slogan. I was no good. I said, I'm going to listen because I'm no good at that. And they came up with every house needs a lady. and Mary Love, I wonder what happened to that. And Mary Love did her across-stitch thing. And that was her slogan. I'm supposed to have 700 hours in it.
700.
I worked all one winter
On this.
on it. It's small. It's small canvas. And it was on painted canvas. And it's real funny. The woman that drew it off on there, I wrote her and I said, do you have a picture of these trees? I came down here and none of them had leaves on them. That was one thing that I had to do. Also, I had to redo the back. You know, you can draw it on there, but you can't make curves.
I love this little dogwoods.
Yeah. So the cutest thing on it, you can't see it really, is a little figure that's about that big.
It is.
And here's a terrible picture over here. See if it keeps on. But it was done for the 100th or the 200th anniversary. Yeah, he's put the people that worked on it. There I am. Not too good, but not bad. It's a pretty piece.
That's a remarkably good picture. As pictures of you go, that's
As pictures of me go, it's not too bad, is it? And this, I don't know where the lights are, but he takes, these are places that have been,
Right.
and he keeps everything. And people donate. There's a rug in there that I wonder if this door's open. Let's see. Jury Award has the silver medal for the steel wheel. Now there's one that we gave them, and here's your silver medal. They were always down at the shop, and when we took it over, we were afraid something would happen down there. And so we gave it. This you'd be interested in. Think you can recognize them? There's Grandfather Bowling. These are from the catalog. I've got a catalog. Okay. You know which one's Daddy? This one's Daddy.
Ah.
That's Daddy, and that's Claude Abernathy's wife's. See, they were both my first cousins. That's Uncle Ron, and there's O.W. Sr., and this is Uncle Loy, who died young.
Mm-hmm. And then that's a picture of the shop later on.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Good, you see, he's got them different. And this is the stuff that Bob gave him when we got to the shop.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a nice display.
It is.
And the writing is so pretty in this.
Yeah.
We even had the